Hi. So people have expressed a lot of interest in my eyebrows. I've had a lot of people say that they think my eyebrows are nice, or ask like what product I use or how I do them. So I decided to make a quick tutorial video. So as you can see, I don't have anything on my eyebrows right now. I use NYX eyebrow pencils. With a little brush on the end. This one is dark brown. You can get nicer pencils. Anastasia makes much nicer pencils that apply easier and are a little more precise. But if you're on a budget, I use NYX. It works fine. So that's what I'm going to be using right now. Oh, also one quick thing about shaping. So if you're trying to figure out how you want to shape your brow, you can use a little trick with your pencil to figure out how to do the shaping. So if you use like right up against your nose and you put it straight up and down, this point here is where your brow should end, in the middle. And then if you're looking straight ahead and you make the pencil go across your eye, like the center of your pupil, and touch the outside of your nose again, this right here is where your arch should be, and that's where my arch is, so that's good. And then same thing on your nose, but if you do it across the outside corner of your eye, that'll tell you where your brow should end. And my brow already looks like it ends right in about the right spot, right there. On the other side though, it's a little shorter, so I'll have to lengthen it a little bit, and you can do that on both sides. So that's a quick shortcut to sort of figuring out how to do your shaping. So I'm gonna start now. I've got a double magnifying mirror right in front of me because I can't see super well without my glasses. So I'm going to be looking off camera. But the first thing I usually do is I draw a relatively smooth line along the top of the brow. Not like on the part with the hair, like just on the skin right above it, so it's a nice smooth line. And I'll do that on both sides. This just helps me make sure that I keep the arch nice and defined like I want it to be. Okay, so you can see that looks kind of wacky right now. And then I go underneath from about right here and draw underneath the arch. And just close up that tail right there. And same thing on this side. Just sort of the part where it starts to thin out. Go trace up underneath the arch. And like I was doing before, like try to get it directly on the skin instead of on where there's hair. If you smudge it a little bit, it's okay. You can kind of wipe it up pretty easily. Make this a little longer like I had mentioned before. Okay. So now you should have sort of the basic outline for what you're going to do with your brows. And then what you're going to do is you're going to fill them in with short little strokes. So you're just going right on top of where the hair is, and doing lots of little strokes on the skin so that it will just kind of fill in the gaps and make your brows look fuller and more defined. And make sure you're just going in one direction, kind of almost like you're brushing them or something like that, but you're just putting on short little strokes of this pencil. And I would go right about to where naturally on your brows the hair is sort of facing sideways. I know towards the end it starts to go right up and down, so don't do that part yet. And make sure that you're kind of following your brow bone down as you go closer towards the inside. Like, remember I mentioned I was gonna do a little closer. So if you're just drawing them bigger, make sure that you're following the brow bone down, or else they'll kind of look a little weird when you're done with them. And you won't be able to figure out why. Okay, other side, doing the same thing, just filling them in, short little strokes. And since I already have my outline, it's easy to make sure that I just stay where I'm supposed to be. Okay, so now I've got these more or less filled in. Get a little sharper point right there. For the regular brow. So then when I do the inside part, I go actually up and down instead of side to side. Still short little strokes, but just because this is the pattern that the hair grows in on this part of the brow. So you want to make sure that if someone does sort of see the strokes, that it looks like a natural pattern, like how your hair would grow. Sort of up and down there. And you can line the bottom, because that sort of will still grow a little sideways. Just try to see what your brows are doing naturally and mimic that as far as which direction you're doing the strokes. Okay, so I like my brows pretty square at the tips, so that's usually how I leave them. If you want them a little rounder, you can just kind of smudge off the top a little bit. They're pretty easy to round out. And so when I do this now, my brows are ending just right about where they're supposed to. Okay, and now I'm just going to tweak this arch just a tiny little bit. Make sure everything's looking nice and uniform. Okay, and that is how I do my brows. It's a little harder to do on camera than just paying attention to doing my brows alone, so this might not be the best they've ever come out. Another thing that I like to keep in mind with my brows is an expression I heard, which is that your brows are supposed to be sisters, not twins. And that's sort of something that will help me hold back if I'm over applying product or over shaping my brows or something like that, trying to get them to look even. You don't have to invest that much time and energy in making them even. No one is going to notice if there are slight differences between your brows. No one's ever noticed with my brows, as far as I know. And yeah, like I said, I get a lot of compliments on them. So that's how I do my brows. If you have any questions for me, feel free to ask. If you live nearby and you want me to show you in person, I'm happy to do that. Yeah, so I hope that was helpful.